examples of people in the Six Figure Deal Sourcer group that are absolutely crushing it right now. They're hitting £10,000 plus per month selling rent to rent deals, starting from scratch, complete newbies. Similar to what I would imagine some of you that are watching this video are as well, similar position. So I'm just going to walk you through a few examples very quickly, and you're going to see the results that they've generated using the steps that I'm about to give you as well. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to try and rush through this as quickly as possible, because really I just want to get to the actual steps and give you as much value as possible in this video. So let's just kind of start from the top. So we'll just talk about Karan and Kent, for example, right? So two of the guys in the Six Figure Deal Sourcer group, they've just sold 4 rent-to-rent HMO deals together. They've actually co-sourced together before, and they made £10,000 off of these 4 deals. It took them just under 2 weeks to complete. So absolutely crushed it. Basically £5 grand a week, which is absolutely amazing. So that's just 2 quick examples. We also have Charlie. Some of you guys might be familiar with Charlie, quite popular in the deal sourcing world now. And again, you know, when Charlie first started in my program, he was a complete newbie, hadn't done anything in regards to rent. And within 4 weeks of working with me, he sold his first deal, as you can see here on the left. This was a message from Charlie in our WhatsApp group. We used to have a WhatsApp group at the beginning. And he said, my first deal wrapped up, guys, just finishing my 4th week, pretty good going. So absolutely amazing. Literally just under a month, sold his first deal. And you can see here, if you fast forward a few months down the line, he is now hitting 10K months quite regularly by this point, right? So this was when he just sold another deal. And you can see I said here, look, that's got to be another 10K month. And he said, yes, mate, normal month, to be honest. I've sold 4 in the past 7 days, right? And just to put that into context, we're selling rent-to-rent deals for £3,000 each. So you can kind of do the maths on that, right? So absolutely smashing it. So that's another member of the Six Figure Deal Sourcer family. Miriam, absolute record breaker, made £10,000 in 1 week, so 7 days. Again, didn't start from scratch, actually, being completely honest. So when Miriam first came across me, she actually joined one of my challenges, and actually sold her first deal during the challenge, which is actually crazy, right? So she sold her first deal and decided she wanted to continue working with me to scale that business. And she still continues to work with me till this day. But this was actually in the first month of the year, if I remember rightly. I think that was January, and she had done a 10K week. So, you know, people talk all the time about making 10K in a month, which is, I'm going to show you multiple examples of people doing that in our group. But this was a record breaker. I'll be honest with you, this isn't normal, right? This doesn't happen too often. But yeah, Miriam absolutely smashed it. And as you can see here, you know, with the amount of activity that we generated, with the amount of business we generated, her phone just went crazy. And, you know, she spoke about if she had better systems in place, she probably would have been able to sell more. And that was something that we really worked hard on after this situation, just to make sure that, yeah, when that type of business is coming your way, you're able to handle it and actually bank that money. So yeah, Miriam's absolutely smashing it now. We have Zara, another person as well, absolutely crushing it. You can see here, just got paid for deal number 5. That was all in 1 month. That was in space of a few weeks, to be honest. And as I told you earlier, we're selling these deals for 3K each. You know, it's very rare that we sell a rent-to-rent deal for less than £3,000. The only time we do that really is if, for example, an investor is taking on a block deal, so there's multiple units, then we'll give them a bit of a discount. But if they're taking units individually, one by one, then it's 3K all day. So again, you can kind of do the maths on that. So yeah, that was like 10K worth of deals within 1 month. And then again, just before the month ended, she went and sold another deal. So absolutely crushed it, Zara. Tarun, another member of the group, made £4,000 in 4 days. So what happened was he sold a deal on Friday. You can kind of see here, he kind of broke it down. So I sold 1 deal last week, Friday, and a second deal today. 1 was co-sourced and the second was my own. So basically he secured it directly from a landlord, which I'm going to walk you guys through that process shortly. So off the back of that, you can see I'm here just kind of confirming with him how much he actually made altogether. So I said 1,500 and 3,000 because it's a co-source deal. So with a co-source deal, you're going to get 50% of the fee. And I said 3,000 because the other deal was his directly. So I would assume he got the full fee. But he just came back to me and said, look, I got 1,500. So I was right on the first one. And he got 2,500 with a little bit of negotiation to sell more to the same investor as they need more properties. So as I mentioned to you earlier, you know, whenever there's multiple properties being taken on, we'll give a discount. So that was really, really good. 4K in 4 days, absolutely smashed it. And went on to sell more deals that month, right? So these 10K months are very, very common in our group. We have Jez here, you know, selling another deal, £3,000. You can see here he's talking about the fact that he sold about 11 deals since he joined the program, which is crazy, right? At that point, I'm not too sure exactly what month this message was from, but he'd only been in the program for a number of months anyway. So the fact that he had sold so many deals was absolutely crazy. And you know, crazy story about Jez actually. Jez broke his ankle at the start of the year. So this is 2024. You're watching this. We're in May. At the start of the year, he broke his ankle, so he was actually in hospital for quite a while, right? He actually sold a deal whilst he was in hospital, which was crazy. It was a co-source deal, so he didn't have to do much on it. But with the system that I've kind of given these guys, they've built a network of people that can provide deals, and they've built a list of investors that will take deals on. And the way we kind of put the pieces of that puzzle together, we can do it remotely. So he was able to transact that deal whilst he was hospitalized. I've actually put a video out where we were kind of discussing it on one of our catch-up calls. It's on my Facebook page. Have a quick look. But absolutely crazy. So he was able to do that whilst he was hospitalized, you know, make about £1,500, which is, you know, most people's salary, right? A full-time job. He was able to do that whilst lying on his back in a hospital. So absolutely crazy story. So that was Jez. We also have Harry here, who sold a deal within 2 hours of receiving it. Absolutely crazy. Made £3,000 in 2 hours. He said, you know, this was an investor that has bought a few from him already, so he was comfortable with proceeding remotely, right? And he said, surely that's a record, which it actually was, right? 2 hours. We've had deals sell very, very quickly, but that was crazy. And as you saw, you know, Harry's actually sold multiple deals since joining the program. He's actually quite a young gentleman as well. I think Harry's only in his early 20s, maybe 21, 20. So crushing it, absolutely crushing it. He's making some really good money from deal sourcing. So really, really good. We have Rihanna and Naif. Again, you know, and this was actually was really, really happy about this because as you can see here, they made about 12 grand in their first 2 months of working with me, joining the Six Figure Deal Sourcer program. So you can see, you know, they went quiet for a little while, but it was because they were just really busy. They didn't start from scratch. They did begin kind of register their deal sourcing business and was kind of looking into it and trying to find a way to start. They hadn't sold any deals or kind of had things up and running until they joined the program, and I helped them put things together. But literally within that first 2 months, smashed it. 12K. You know, they sold 2 deals in 1 week. They sold 3 deals the month before, and all in all, with all the fees put together, it made about 12 grand. So absolutely amazing. Rihanna and Naif. We also have Samir, multiple deals sold, as you can see here. Hi, Gary, I've sold multiple deals using your system. Can't thank you enough, mate. And absolutely just crushing it, you know, again, starting from scratch. So that was Samir. And we've got a few other examples here. I'll try and rush through these so we can get into the actual steps, right? But we've got Philip, again, a young gentleman similar to Harry. I think he's in his maybe early 20s. You see here, sold his first deal, made £3,000. We have another gentleman here called Monday David. Again, £3,000, as you can see. We have Majid here, another member of the group, 5,500. This was multiple deals that he had sold all in one go. So we was just discussing whether he'd been paid his fee and how much he actually ended up walking away with. So he walked away with 5,500 on that deal, which was again really, really good. He could have walked away with a bit more, but he gave them a little discount just to kind of smooth things over and kind of get it across the line. So that was really, really good. Again, so many examples, guys. Like I could literally go through this with you guys forever, right? So this is in February, you can see here, and this is Elliot, who had only joined in January, 15th of January, so halfway through the month, and he had already sold multiple deals, right? By that time. So absolutely crazy, less than 2 months. Robert Price, again, another person who joined the program and hit the ground running, multiple deals sold within his first 2 months. I think within his first month, actually. We have Kent here as well, is another example. Another deal sold, co-sourced with another member of the group. So this is, it says Virgo, but her name is Ade. So a lady named Ade in our group, they co-sourced on that. You can see here, hey bro, here is a screenshot of me and Ade's deal. So they got paid their 3,000. So they both walked away with 1,500 each. Again, like I said, your average wage, you know, this is what people are being paid monthly to work full time and commute back and forth to their job, right? These guys are doing it just with their phones and Facebook and this strategy that I'm showing them. So it's very, very, very powerful. I think you kind of get the picture. I could go on and on and on. If you do want to see more examples of my clients, the people that are within the Six Figure Deal Sourcer program, if you just go to my Facebook page and have a quick scroll through, I'm super transparent. So everything is there. So have a look through. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. Let's just get straight into what you're actually watching this video for, though, right? So I kind of put together a sort of timeline that I want to run you guys through, and I give in some examples as well, just to make it a little bit easier to understand. Let me just zoom in or zoom out a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. If you're watching this on your phone, by the way, switch your or turn your phone sideways and the screen will change, and then you'll be able to see this really nice and clear. If you're watching it the normal way, then this is going to be all, it's going to look funny. But if you turn your screen to the phone to the side, it should come across a little bit better. If you're watching it on your laptop or your computer, it should be nice and clear. Okay, you should be able to see everything that I'm showing you. Okay. So this is the step-by-step guide, essentially, of how to go from being a complete newbie, making £0 as a deal sourcer, or a deal sourcer that's struggling to hit those 10K months consistently, to becoming a deal sourcer that's successfully making £10,000 per month consistently, right? And you guys just saw, literally, I just scratched the surface with those results that I showed you. We've got over 100 results, reviews, that you can kind of see throughout my page throughout the years. We've got videos where people are giving reviews, etc., testimonials, the lot, right? So this is no longer a question of whether it's possible or not. It's just about knowing what to do to get there, right? So I'm going to walk you through how to go from this person to this person, and it is very, very straightforward, right? Just quick backstory on me for those of you who don't know who I am. So I've been a deal sourcer. I started deal sourcing in 2011. So what's that? 12 years, something like that. And the landscape of deal sourcing was completely different at that time when I first started. And you know, even when you look at how many people are deal sourcing now in comparison to then, it's crazy. Huge difference. At that time, talking about deal sourcing or assisted sales, as some people used to call it, or property trading or whatever you want to call it. There's so many different names that people call it. But deal sourcing, essentially, at that time, when you would kind of speak to people about it, they had no idea what you was talking about. They had no clue that you could be sort of just a middleman in creative property deals or just property deals in general, not have to put any money in, not have to, you know, own anything or have any equity in anything or take out any loans or any of the things that an investor has to do usually to take a property on. You could just be the person who puts the two parties together and you get paid in the middle. And a lot of people didn't know that. I kind of found that out just from research, right? But at that time, the way everyone was operating was very different. And I remember when I kind of started to look more on social media, Facebook specifically, at what was happening in terms of deals and who I could network with to get deals done, etc., and kind of just get myself in the business. And again, it just looked completely different. Everyone was pretty much approaching it in a way of, let's just get deals. Let's get deals, and the buyers will come, right? Everything will fall in place once we've got the deals. So I attempted to do it that way, and cut a long story short, found out that that strategy is very flawed, right? Because you end up securing a lot of deals if you know what you're doing, but because you don't have any buyers, you don't end up selling a large majority of those deals. They fall out of bed because they take too long for you to sell, or landlord or vendor changes their mind. At that time, I wasn't just selling rent to rent. I was trying to do every deal, to be honest. But just in general, you'll find that if you don't have the clients, the investors up front ready to take these deals on, a lot of them will fall out of bed. So I kind of reverse engineered the whole process. And that's what's kind of, we fast forward, that brings me to today, where not only did I build a deal sourcing business that made, hundreds of thousands, I also have taught hundreds of people how to do the same. As you just saw a few examples, just a couple of examples. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how myself and those people done it. And the first thing that I always talk about when I kind of try and break down this process for people is the foundations, because that's like the main point. If you haven't got the foundation set, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get this business up and running in the first place, to be completely honest with you. So you can see here, I talk a little bit about the foundations, and what you find usually is people have either one or some missing, or they have none at all. Right. So because I put out a lot of content about deal sourcing, people reach out to me all the time asking questions. And when I kind of ask them questions to figure out where they are in their process, I find that, usually one of these things are missing out of the six, or they don't have any of this in place at all. So I'm going to kind of walk you through each one, explain how to do them, why they're important, and just try and give you as much value as I can. And also, this is going to allow you to start to build your business today. To be honest with you, there's no reason why you can't start this today. It's very straightforward. Anybody can do it. It's not going to cost you a penny to at least set up these foundations. And then when you're ready, you can actually start putting things into play and actually making money from this. So what I would do is take a screenshot maybe of this as I go through, make notes, and just get started. And if there's anything you're stuck on, you can reach out to me and I'll give you as much help as I can. Okay. So we're going to start off with the foundation. So the 6 foundations, as you can see, I kind of writ this up for you earlier. You have number 1, the Facebook groups, right? And for me, I've just noticed that people really undervalue Facebook groups, and I don't understand why. To me, Facebook groups are gold mines, right? I literally built my deal sourcing business off the back of Facebook groups. I've pretty much built my mentorship business off of the back of Facebook groups, right? Just being completely honest with you. We have the Deal Sourcers United Facebook group, where I don't benefit from it because it's a free group, but I know from speaking with hundreds of people in that group that hundreds of thousands of pounds have been made just with people that have connected and met in that group, right? So I know firsthand how important and valuable Facebook groups are. I know a lot of people don't know that though, right? So I'm just going to kind of run through with you why that's important, and that's the first thing you should be doing. That is really sort of the backbone of your business, right? So first things first, joining the Facebook groups. If you're not sure how to join Facebook groups or find the right Facebook groups, what I would do is go into Facebook, go into the groups section. So just click on where it says groups, and then start to type in the different phrases associated to rent, because we're focusing strictly on rent deals, right? For this strategy. Just quickly, reason being, they're the easiest deals to secure. You don't have to put any money in. There's no purchase involved. So the transaction is very, very quick. We can find a deal today and have it done, dusted, be paid by the end of the week, right? So that's why we focus on rent. So what you're going to do is going to the Facebook group section and type in the phrases that are associated to rent. So you can see all of the groups. So you'll type in rent, you'll type in R2R, R2SA, R2HMO, etc., etc. And you're going to do those one by one. So you'll type 1, hit enter, and then a list of all the groups are going to come up, and go through, join all of them, and do the same, and so on and so on and so on. And you're going to join as many of those groups as possible. Now you can see right here, I'm going to show you and kind of go into it in more detail as I work my way through. But if you just look, like, this is one of the best groups in my opinion. Rent deals, S option deals. This is one of the best groups for starting to build your deal sourcing business, because it's got 36,000. I don't know if you guys can see that, 36,000 members. And it is very, very active. There's a lot of engagement in that group, which is essentially a lot of data, right? So just kind of going back to the first foundation, join the groups, join as many of these groups as possible. I'm in over 100 rent to rent groups on Facebook, just to kind of put things into context for you, right? And what that does is it just gives me loads and loads of data. Why it's important is because those groups are free. So it's free data, right? There are thousands and thousands of members in these groups. And remember, they're in these groups because they are interested specifically in whatever that topic is, right? Because obviously there's millions of groups on Facebook, but we're looking at rent to rent specifically. So when we find a group where there's 36,000 people in it, we can rest assured that everyone in this group is interested in this topic, right? In these creative property deals. So we want to be in there. We want to be able to make use of that data. Also, new opportunities every single day. So, for example, in my Deal Sources United group, um, my VA accepts probably 60 to 100 posts every single day. And what happens, if you understand how Facebook groups work, is when a new post gets posted, for example, if it's a deal for sale, investors will comment on that post, right? And as more and more posts get posted, more and more comments get posted, right? And that becomes valuable data for us, because I'm going to go into why that's valuable, but it's very valuable data for us. We also have years of valuable data. So as well as the new posts being posted every day in these groups, if you look back, the posts go back years and years, 5, 10 years, 15 years in some of them, right? So very, very valuable for us and very important if we know how to navigate the groups properly. Okay. And you can also create your own group and have full control, like I said, with the Deal Sources United group, right? So that group allows me to communicate with loads and loads of deal sources, because I'm in the business of working with those sources, giving them the strategies, giving them the support, etc., etc. So I need to be in control of being able to communicate with those people. You can do the exact same with investors, right? So I've got guys in the program who have shown how to create their own groups, and now they're leveraging those groups and selling deals to investors in those groups, their own groups, right? So very, very important. So I would say that's the first foundation, making sure that you're in all of the groups so that you are able to make use of the data, reach out to the right people, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Number two, the foundation would be areas, so high demand areas. Okay. A trap that I see a lot of deal sources falling into is just trying to cover every area, right? So I'll be speaking to a deal sourcer and kind of trying to give them some tips and some tricks on how to kind of get ahead. And when I ask the question about what areas they're covering, that's usually one of the first questions I ask, actually. What areas do you cover? And they're kind of like, anywhere. I cover every area. Or they've got 10 areas, or, you know, and I always say, well, if you're covering every area, or if you're covering 10, 20 areas, you're going to make it very difficult for yourself to master any of them or dominate any of them, in a sense that how do you build a list of clients in every single area, especially when you're first starting out and you're operating on your own? It just doesn't make sense, and it just makes the job way harder for you. And what happens is you start to waste a lot of time securing deals, trying to sell deals in areas where there isn't even much demand, right? So for us, what we want to do is we want to use the free data groups to quickly pick the areas that we're going to cover. And I say pick 3 areas maximum. 3 areas maximum. So we're going to use those groups to pick the areas we're going to cover. And we're going to base it on engagement and demand. Now, you might be thinking, well, how do I do that? How am I going to know whether there's demand and engagement there, right? So I'll just show you some examples. Here's some posts. If you look at this one here, with Usman and Sharon. You've got Julie, Jane, Handy. These are just literally just a few comments within some of these groups, right? But what you'll find is once you know how to navigate the groups, you're going to be able to see in real time which areas are actually in demand. So, for example, if you go and look through those groups, you'll see areas like Manchester, Birmingham, London, the bigger cities. They're usually always in demand, right? Loads of investors have expressed interest. So clearly you can see if I can secure deals there, I'm going to be able to sell them because there's a lot of people looking for those types of deals in those areas, right? So you can see here, look, interested in Manchester, Manchester, Coventry, Manchester, Manchester, Coventry. So if you go through each of those groups, you're going to clearly be able to see which areas you should cover, and then you can kind of move forward from there. I show you how to do that in a bit more detail, when you're in my group, and how to actually navigate the groups. But I think you kind of get the picture. So we want to use those 3 groups to pick our areas. We're going to base it strictly on demand, not logistics, right? So you don't want to base it on, well, I live in this area, or I went to school in this area, my girlfriend lives in this area. You want to base it strictly on the areas that you can see investors are looking for deals here, right? Because at the end of the day, it's those people that are going to pay you for those deals. Okay, so if you're trying to secure deals just because it's close to where you live and you haven't checked whether there's demand, you end up in a situation where you've just got deals sitting on your lap that you can't sell, and you end up losing them, right? So focus on the areas where you can clearly see that there are huge amounts of demand from the actual people that are going to take these deals on and pay you that £3,000, right? Okay, so you can focus on your 3 areas. And another thing that I find is really, really useful in terms of being able to use the groups is, if the market changes for whatever reason, let's just say in a few years' time, all of a sudden Manchester has no more demand for whatever reason, things change, right? You're able to quickly go back into those groups and see what the changes are and which areas are now in demand and which areas are still in demand, which ones have changed. You're always able to just go straight back into those groups. They're free groups, right? And just make use of that data very, very quickly. Okay, you don't have to pay to put adverts out to kind of get that information, do surveys, any of that. You can go into these groups and see in real time where the demand is, what the changes are. So I think it's really, really important to make as much use of those groups as possible. So that's number 2. That's the areas high demand. Number 3 is your investor list. Now, again, for me, this is part of the backbone of your business. As I mentioned to you guys earlier, you'll see that there are a lot of people that focus mainly on securing deals rather than focusing on building relationships and rapport with the people who are going to buy the deals, right? So we do it the complete opposite way. We build those relationships and that rapport and familiarity and trust with the clients first, so that when we go out and find the deals, it's so much easier to just sell them on. And all of those people that I just showed you examples of at the beginning of the video, and the hundreds of others within the program, that's literally how they've sold those deals. They are selling those deals to people that they built relationships with first, that they found in these free Facebook groups. Okay. And obviously, I go into more and more detail about how you do that, the different approaches, the different styles that we're using, and how to do it without too much effort, to be honest. Just kind of making use of your Facebook page. You can do it from your phone, doesn't take very long at all. So just being able to create that human interaction, give that personal touch and break the ice, doing things like sending them a voice note, right? As you can see here, makes a huge difference. We want to be able to really, really create a valuable relationship with these people from day one, straight away. Okay. What you'll find in these free Facebook groups, as you saw from the examples I showed you below, is there are thousands and thousands of investors in these groups actively expressing interest in rent-to-rent deals in your areas. Okay. And just quickly, just so you know how to find them, if you just go into the Facebook groups that you've joined and type in the areas that you're going to cover, and one by one, so let's say Birmingham, you type in Birmingham and hit enter. In the group, so in the actual group page, you're going to see a list of every post that has mentioned Birmingham come up in the list. Okay. So again, Facebook's made it really easy for you. It's not as though you have to go into those groups and scroll through every post. You just type the area that you're going to cover, hit enter, and it all comes up in a list for you. And then from there, you just need to go through the comment sections. Because remember, you're in a rent-to-rent group. You are looking at specifically Birmingham or whatever area you've typed in. So you don't have to filter it too much. Facebook's done it for you. So you just need to go through each comment section, and all of the people that have raised their hand and said, I'm interested, all these right? Interested in Manchester, interested. You'll see people say, send me more information, or please can you shoot me an email. You'll even see some people do leave their email addresses in the comment section, like send me more info. We want to be reaching out to these people, because essentially they potentially are investors that will purchase these deals from you if you can get those deals for £3,000 each. So really important that we're reaching out to them. And like I said, I believe the best way to do it, especially now in 2024, where people are quite skeptical of everyone online, the best way to do that and kind of like break the ice, get their barriers down straight away, is send voice notes. Let them hear your voice. Let them hear that you're a real person. Yeah. When we reach out to them to find out whether or not they're still even looking for a deal, we want to get them on a phone call and we want to qualify them on that call. So I give my guys a set of questions or a set of points to touch on when they're speaking to these potential investors to qualify them, make sure they're serious, they're able to actually proceed if we can present them a deal that fits what they're looking for. And by the end of that call, we'll have all the information we need to kind of add them to our list confidently and begin sending them deals when we have them, right? Not straight away. Whilst we're, when we're building a list, we're building a list. Like I said, we don't want to rush through the process. So for now, we get their info, they're qualified, they're on the list. Very soon, we're going to be shooting them deals that they'll be reaching out to us and saying, yes, I'm interested. So that is the qualified investor list. Okay, number 3. Number 4 will be building your network. Again, a very, very important part of the process. They say your network is your net worth, right? So for me, the quickest and easiest way to start selling deals, especially when you're first starting out, is to partner with other people. So that would be co-sourcers and estate agents, letting agents, right? Anyone who can either send you a deal or send you a lead, which would essentially be those two different people. Okay, you can find thousands of co-sources that are already operating in the areas that you're covering in those same free Facebook groups. Okay, let me just show you an example. So if you go back into those groups and you type your areas in, you'll be looking out for people like this. So for example, like Gladys, let's say Birmingham was one of your areas. You're going to type Birmingham in, you're going to go through all of the posts associated to Birmingham, all of the rent to rent deals that have been posted, and the people who have posted it, that's who you're going to be reaching out to in this exercise. Because essentially, if they've already tried to sell deals in the area, it's very likely that they've either got deals now or they're going to have more deals in that area soon. So we want to be in contact with them. And what you'll usually find is, and again, not to say that specifically these two guys are doing that, but what I find with most sources who are constantly posting deals in the group, and even the ones that aren't constantly, to be honest, just people who are posting deals in the groups, what I find is that they usually haven't built an investor list, right? They're one of the sources that are focusing mainly on just getting deals. So they're building relationships with agents or they're calling landlords, and that's fine because that actually creates value for us. They focus on getting the deals. We focus on actually getting the clients and essentially really where the value is, right? I'll explain that for you as well, because sometimes people kind of ask me about why do you focus mainly on the investors over the deals? Well, as an example, the investors will sit on your list forever, right? We still have investors on our list that we've worked with for years and years, and they'll buy deals from you over and over and over again. We've just had a few of the guys in the group that have sold multiple deals to the same investors back to back, right? And again, they found these investors in these groups for free. So very, very, very important. Um, okay, let's see, where are we? So where was we? Okay, so you'll find thousands of co-sources in the groups. I just showed you some examples of those people. So you look at the people who have posted the deals, reach out to them, see whether they're open to working with you. As I said, they're focusing on getting the deals. You're focusing on building relationships and a qualified investor list so that when they have deals, they send it to you. You can put it in front of your investors. If you're happy with it, sell it, split the fee 50-50. Everyone's happy. It's a win-win situation and it halves your workload. So whilst they focus on getting the deals, you just have to focus on building your list and keeping your list happy, right? And just to kind of finish off what I was saying, basically what I was saying is, an investor will sit on your list forever, whereas a deal, if a landlord loses patience after a day or so or a week or so, they could decide not to go ahead, right, before the deal's done. Or if you're taking too long to sell the deal, they can change their mind, or someone else can come along and make an offer, right? So deals slip through your fingers literally like sand. They come and go very, very quickly. So they don't hold as much value as deal sources believe they do. Really, the value is in having the list, because these are people that will work with you over and over and over again. They're the people that are going to spend the money with you. So I say it's very important to build the list first, right? So, okay. So you find those guys, you reach out. If they're open to it, you guys are going to work together. Whenever you sell a deal, you're going to split it 50-50. So you can see here, £3,000. So you'll walk away with £1,500 each. You will also find letting agents that will pass you properties where the landlord's open to doing a corporate let or rent to rent, whatever you'd like to call it. Again, you can find these guys for free on Google. I know most deal sources like to actually call estate agents about specific properties to try and secure those. I do it a completely different way, and it's worked very well for me and the guys. What we do is we literally just go on Google and we find all of the agents in the area that we're covering, and we call straight into the office. And what we're trying to do is just create a relationship in general. We're not calling about a specific property. In fact, on that first call, we're not trying to even secure a property. We're just trying to find. And if you are, great. Now we have their details. We know who the decision maker is. They have our information, and we can stay in contact with them and secure deals that way very, very easily, regularly, consistently. I always say to people, you should have relationships with letting agents, because their job is to find landlords, attract the landlords, advertise for landlords, right? Literally, their line of business is landlords. They need properties, right, on their books. So that's the perfect person for you to have a relationship with if you need to secure properties for your investors, right? So we've actually ended up getting some really, really good deals from agents, literally just by calling into the office and asking the right questions, speaking to the right person, etc., which I go into more about in the group. But as an example here, look, you can just find this map on Google just by typing in small independent agents or letting agents and in the area. So Birmingham, for example, small independent letting agents, Birmingham, and it's going to bring you up a section here which is kind of like a little map, and it will show you all the agents in the area. Usually it's pages and pages and pages long, so you can literally just take your time, go through and call each and every one of them. Or you can actually, you don't necessarily even have to call them. You can just send inquiries via the websites or via Google, and they'll call you back. I personally like to just pick up the phone and call, get straight into it, strike the relationship there and then. And we do it together in our group actually every single week. So we actually do sessions where we jump on the phone and actually call live for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and secure deals live, or secure relationships live over the phone that end up being deals further on down the line. So it's really, really powerful, um, building those relationships with those agents. We sometimes pay them a small referral fee. Not every agent wants a fee, because obviously they're already being paid by the landlord. But we do offer it, on occasions, around £500, £250. Sometimes that's an incentive for them to work with us. It's just something to keep in mind when you're speaking with some of these agents, because they do need to push some of them. And like I said, working with these guys will literally halve your workload. Like, no questions asked. It's going to make your life a lot easier, especially whilst you're spending time securing deals directly from landlords, which we're about to get into in a second. Okay. So just a quick recap, right? As I said, it's all about having your foundations built. So usually a sourcer has one, some, or all of this missing, right? And as we're working our way through, you can kind of see how each one complements the other. And if you haven't got one, the other kind of doesn't really make sense, right? So for example, if we wanted to go straight to number two without doing number one, well, it's going to be difficult for us to figure out which area we're going to cover if we're not in the groups to see the data in the first place, right? And the same goes for the investor list. Well, it's difficult for us to pick or start building our investor list and reaching out to investors if we don't even know what area we're covering, right? Like I said to you, some people are trying to cover every area, and of course, it's almost impossible unless you've got an army of people that are building those lists with you. But when you're on your own, or if it's just you and a partner, I would say just focus on the free. But again, you know, if you haven't got if you're not in the groups to get the data, if you haven't got the data to pick the areas, how do you begin even building the investor list in the first place? And so on and so forth, right? So really important to get these foundations right. Okay, so we've gone over the network. So now the next step, and just again, just to explain why we go investor list, network, then landlord, right? And you are supposed to do it in this order, by the way, guys. So 1 to 6 in this order. The reason why we go network before landlord is because building relationships with sources and, well, especially sources, right, allows you to start selling deals way quicker than getting deals from agents or even getting deals from landlords. And I'm going to explain to you why. When you get a deal from a sourcer, they've already secured the deal, right? So the deal's ready to go. It's ready to be sold. They've already done the back and forth with the agent or with the landlord. They've already done the due diligence on the deal. They've already packaged the deal. The deal is ready to be sold. All you literally need to do in practicality is just send it to your list and discuss it with your list, right? And get it sold. Whereas if you're getting a deal from an agent, you still need to go and do the due diligence, go back, put forward the proposal. Again, it's quick, but it's a little bit longer than just speaking with a sourcer who says, yeah, I've got a deal ready to go. Here you go. Right. It's already done and dusted. Just send it to your list. And if someone's interested, we'll get them in for reviewing, go forward, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with the landlords, right? Again, quite a quick process. It's like, for example, last week we just done a call out session to landlords, and like the second call, landlord said, yeah, interested, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, so very quickly you can secure a deal. But again, even when the landlord says yes, we need to go away, do our due diligence, look at some comparable, make sure that it actually stacks up, go back, make an offer. And then once it's agreed, then we can go forward and sell the deal. Again, that process is pretty quick. That can be done within a day or so. But again, in comparison to a deal sourcer just sending you a deal that's already had that all done, it's longer. So that's why I say follow it in order, because going from investor list to network is going to allow you to sell your first couple of deals very, very quickly. Okay. Okay. Next step. Sorry, so we just quick recap again. Sources first, very easy to do. Find them in the Facebook groups. They're the guys that are already posting rent to rent deals, right? So reach out to the ones that are covering the same area as you so you can create those relationships. Next, you're going to be reaching out to the agents. You can find them for free on Google. Call straight into the office, have a chat with the lettings manager or whoever handles corporate lets in the office. Let them know that you've got a ton of clients in the area that are looking for properties that they can rent. Your clients are companies, so you know you've got to kind of explain that to them. I show you exactly what to say to agents in our group as well. Next step would be number 5, speaking to landlords directly. Now, this is where you make the most money as a deal sourcer, especially when we're selling rent to rent, right? Reason being, when you sell a deal that you've got directly from your landlord, if you're selling it directly to your investor, one of the investors on your list, then you walk away with the full £3,000 sourcing fee, right? So essentially, this is where you make the most money. It's in terms of the process, it's a little bit longer. And when I say a little bit longer, I'm only talking days, right? But in terms of what you earn from it, you walk away with the most money. So it's usually that. And then the agents, if the agents aren't taking anything, you know, from your fee, then again, you walk away with pretty much the full fee. The co-sources, you have to split it, right? So we're getting these landlord deals from classified websites. So we're finding these landlords on websites like Gumtree, Preloved, The Loot. If you just go on Google and actually type in classified websites UK, every single one in the country will come up and you can kind of go through. But Gumtree is the biggest one. I love Gumtree. Reason being, I like to just call, have a conversation, ask the right questions, get the deal secured, or at least get a yes. And I'll just show you. Reason why I love Gumtree is right here. So you can see this post right here from Colin. This is a property for let on Gumtree. Phone numbers right there, right? So I can phone him, I can email him. It just makes my life so much easier. I can just go direct. None of this playing around and having to wait, right? So I love to go via Gumtree. So we're going to be speaking to these landlords direct. Yeah. So where was we? So very important part of speaking to the landlords direct is using the right language. Okay. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, I mean, for example, you know, when you're speaking to these landlords, if you start speaking about corporate lets or rent to rent or using those phrases, you are going to confuse the landlord, because when a landlord puts their property on the internet looking for a tenant, right, and we stumble across them, we have to keep in mind that initially they was not looking for a corporate let tenant. They wasn't looking for a company to rent the property. They were looking for a traditional tenant, right? A traditional AST, someone that's just going to rent the property, live there for however long, and that's that. But of course, what we're proposing is a little bit different, right? So we need to make sure we're using the right language so we don't confuse them. And I always say you want to make it as digestible as possible. You want to use the words that will allow the landlord to kind of understand what it is you're proposing, even if they don't fully understand. So I'll give you an example, right? You can see here I say, a good question to ask, rather than saying, can we do a corporate let, or using the word rent to rent, which of course will confuse them. I like to ask, can a company rent this property? Right. So again, if there's something, if they're not familiar at all with corporate let and companies renting a property, etc., then this is going to be completely new to them. But the way I've phrased it, the way I've worded it, they're going to understand, right? It's very easy to understand. Okay, you're not talking about a traditional tenancy where just a normal person rents it from me. You're talking about a company. Okay. And what that does is it encourages them to ask, how does that work? And that's what you'll usually find when you ask that question, right? Unless somebody's heard of it before or done it before and had a bad experience, and they just say outright no, which is fair enough. You're going to get some no's. But usually, when someone hasn't had that experience and it's something completely new to them, and we phrase it the right way, they usually ask, "Oh, how does that work?" or "What's that?" Right? And that allows us to go into the next part, which you can see here, is giving them all of the benefits and explaining to them how it works. So essentially, our clients are corporate let companies. They're going to rent the property from the landlord long term, usually 3 to 5 years. They're going to pay them guaranteed rent, so the landlord doesn't have to worry about void periods. They also cover their own maintenance, and there are no management costs, right? So and there's other bits and pieces as well, but we basically break those benefits down to the landlord and explain to them how it all works, right? If they're happy with that and they're open to hearing more, then let them know we need to go away, kind of do our due diligence, make sure that this is going to actually work for what our clients are looking for. We're completely transparent with them, by the way, as well, because you may be aware that there are some sources that kind of pretend that it's them that's going to take the property on. So essentially, they are the investor or the client, but we're super transparent. They are fully aware we are the middleman. Our job is to just find the properties, make sure they fit, and it's an actual client, it's a company that will take the property on, if it does fit, right? So we explain that to them. If they are happy, once we come back and make the proposal, so we make the proposal verbally first and then in writing. So this is a simple email, to be honest. And we also send them over a heads of terms. So we call it the HOTS, and that's just an agreement that, and it's not a legally binding agreement, but it is formal, just to confirm what we've discussed and what they've said they are happy with. So what we're proposing and what they've said, okay, we're open to that, right? This isn't the final agreement. There does need to be an actual contract, a lease agreement signed, but that's done once there's a client that's actually interested in taking it on. So for now, we just get our heads of terms signed. And what that does is it just allows us to secure the deal formally and actually be able to present these deals to the investor comfortably, knowing that that landlord is actually consented, they're happy, they're ready to go, right? A lot of sources speak to landlords, speak to agents, and they don't make it clear what they're proposing. And then they start actually trying to pitch that, I wouldn't even call it a deal, a lead essentially, to investors, right? Hoping that it will just kind of all fall into place. It's a very messy way to do things. And 9 times out of 10, the deal just falls out of bed, right? The landlord gets upset or the agent gets upset that they wasn't aware what it was we was proposing. And now they've got this person, at a viewing talking about renting the property as a company and having their own tenants. So we're always super transparent so they know from the beginning exactly what it is we're proposing, right? So keep that in mind when you're speaking to agents and landlords. Just be honest. Okay. Okay, so that's the landlord. So that's step 5. So that foundation is built. Now, step 6, or foundation number 6, which is sales, and it's remote sales, 100% remote sales. Okay, and you can see here I put in red, this where the money is made if your foundations have been set. Okay, so often I have people ask me, "Oh, Gary, I, I've joined the Facebook groups. I've picked my areas, and I'm trying to do deals and I can't. I'm speaking to land, and I'm like, oh wait, hang on. You've got your Facebook groups, you've picked your areas, great. You've skipped. You're now talking about landlords and sales, right? What about your investor list? How many qualified investors do you have on your list? Usually they don't have any, or they only have a few, right? That's not going to work. We need to have qualified investors literally waiting for us to send them these deals, right? How many people do you have in your network? What's your network look like? Again, usually they have no network. Okay, we want agents and sources to be providing us with opportunities outside of us trying to find our own directly from landlords. So that network is super important. Your network is your net worth, literally. um so very, very important to have these all set before you start looking at having the sales foundation built, right? Don't worry about that straight away. And all of this, by the way, this whole process, because I haven't really put too much of a kind of a timeline in terms of how long it takes, but honestly, you've seen some of the results. Charlie, for example, 4 weeks it took him to get all of this set up and be in a position where he started putting deals in front of his investor list, getting viewings booked in, and selling deals and being paid, right? Just 4 weeks. We've had people, the record is just over 2 weeks of joining the program, someone sold their first deal. So again, this can all be set up really quickly and easily with the way that I show you to do it. Yeah. So, okay, all of your foundations are set up now. We're at number 6. So now our focus is sales. Okay. We've set everything up. Some of this stuff is going to continue to grow organically. For example, the investor list, with the amount of people you would have reached out to, with the way I'm going to show you, you're still going to have investors coming back to you weeks, months down the line that didn't open the message straight away saying, oh, I am still looking for rent to rent deals in that area. So your list will continue to grow. Same thing for the network. People that you reached out to via Facebook, sources were going to not see the message straight away, but over time they see the message. And also, as you're in those groups, having more conversations, connecting with more people, word of mouth happens. And then you start to notice people are reaching out to you. They're like, oh, I heard you're covering Birmingham as well. Have you got any deals? Can we work together, etc., etc.? So this foundation actually continues to strengthen and grow organically if you do the work at first, right? And it's not even much work, being honest with you. Like I said, all of this stuff can just be done from your phone very quickly, an hour a day. Okay. So how do we put all of the pieces of the puzzle together and actually start making money? So we've set up our foundations now. So we have areas that are hot. We have a list of investors that are qualified, not just random people. They're actually looking for rent to rent deals in the area we're covering. We even know finer details about what they're looking for, but overall, they want deals in this area. And we've got a list of them. We've also got a network of sources and agents that are also covering this same area, that are happy to provide us with opportunities as well that we can package and sell. We also are having conversations consistently with landlords that are motivated and they're open to what we're proposing. Right, we're securing deals that way, and then we're able to put them in front of our list. So now, what I want you to be doing to put all of this together, tie it all together, is just repeating the process. To be honest, right? So as you can see here, touch base with your network every week to secure deals to sell. So what does that look like? With my guys, every Monday. In fact, let me give you a real-time example. So we've got a lady named Nana in our group. So last week, Monday, we do a group call every day, Monday to Friday. So on Monday's call, we always go through any new deals, any new activity, what's happening, etc., etc. And Nana had caught up with her network, as I tell the guys to do every Monday, following over to Tuesday. They don't get a chance to do it on Monday. Start of the week, we need new deals to put in front of our list. So she caught up with her network, and from that, she got about 5 deals, I think, altogether, right? Network sent them over. She checks them out. She's happy with them. She sends them out to her list. by our Tuesday call, or maybe Wednesday call, I think it was Tuesday call, already has interest, already has people on the list that are like, yeah, interested, get me through the doors, I want to see them, right? So already the week has started and we're generating activity just from reaching out to our network on Monday, right? What happens is by the end of the week, so by like our Friday call, Nana's already had 1 or 2 viewings. There are viewings taking place over that weekend, and everything is looking really, really good. Lots of interest. Monday this week, and what day is it today? It's Thursday today. So yeah, Monday, a few days ago, beginning of this week, Nana has a deal sold, paperwork's done and dusted. Investor, landlord sent everything back and forth really quickly. All the checks were done. Everyone's happy. Nana was paid her fee by Tuesday. So literally started that deal from Monday, the week before, and by the following Monday, done, dusted, paid, right? So that shows you how important it is to just touch base every week. You know, she created those opportunities out of thin air. She's actually still got more of those deals going through actually as we go, as it goes. That's just the first one out of that batch that has sold and completed, right? And like I always say to you guys, you know, you sell 1 or 2 of these deals per week, which is very easy to do, you are going to absolutely crush it. And you can see we have people in the group, multiple people in the group that are doing that, you know, no problems. Very, very straightforward. So touching base with your network every week to secure deals to sell, contacting landlords directly via the classified websites, like I told you, every week to secure deals to sell. All right. And then again, these are very easy activities, guys, very straightforward activities. You can do them via your phone very, very quickly. And then, of course, sending the deals that you secure and that you're happy with directly to the qualified investors on your list. The way to do that is WhatsApp, email, text. I mean, you can do it any way you want, as long as it's not on Facebook. I don't want you to send deals to your investors via Facebook. In fact, it's really important that you remember you want to get them away from the platform as soon as possible. So that's why you actually notice at the beginning, I say to you, when they come back and say they're still looking for deals in that area, when you reach out to them, straight away, we want to get them on a call, on a qualifying call, right? So get them away from there as soon as possible and get them on your list. So when you're sending deals out to them, you can send it WhatsApp, email, text, however you like. The most important activity out of all of this, right, is doing the follow-up calls, as crazy as that sounds. So the follow-up calls are actually even more important than sending the deal out, right? Because what you'll notice, and we know this firsthand because every week we do our follow-up calls live. We do a follow-up call session live in the group. So everyone gets to hear it and see and hear what the investors say. And you'll be shocked how many times investors will tell us that they haven't actually even seen the message with the deal in it, right? So let's say, for example, you've got 15 investors on your list qualified, 10 investors on your list qualified, let's say, for example. You sent the deal out to them. It's a rent-to-rent deal in Birmingham, and they're all looking for rent-to-rent deals in Birmingham. So you send the deal out to the list. When you do your follow-up calls, you're going to be surprised to hear that like 8 of them haven't even seen the message, right? For whatever reason, maybe they haven't checked their WhatsApp, or they haven't checked their emails, or it's gone in their junk mail, or you sent it as a text and it didn't go to the right number, or whatever the situation is, they haven't even seen it. So people usually just assume that if an investor doesn't respond about a deal, they're not interested. But that's usually not the case. What it is they haven't even seen it. They're not aware of it, or they saw it and they were too busy to respond, right? They saw it, the phone rang, they forgot about the deal. So the follow-up call is vital, super, super important. And literally, we sell a majority of our deals by following up, right? Get them on the phone. First things first, main priority. Just want to make sure, have you even seen that message with the deals in it? Oh, no, Gary, I haven't. Okay, no problem. I've got them on the phone now. I can explain the deal very briefly. I can find out whether that would even be a deal that they'd be interested in. If they are, I can send them more info. I can find out when they're free to come and view it. Like, that phone call is so powerful. You get so much from it. And I would say 95% of deal sources don't do follow-up calls. So essentially, all of those people are just leaving money on the table. So follow-up calls is the most important part of that little flurry of activity, sending deals out, right? Must get them on the phone call. I'll give you a funny story actually. So two sources um co-sourcing together. So let's say co-sourcer one, co-sourcer two. Co-sourcer one has the deal, he sends it over to co-sourcer two. Co-sourcer one has his own investor list, but so does co-sourcer two. And they get on. So he sends the deal over him and he's like, look, if you can get a buyer, let's get this sold, let's work together. So co-sourcer two sends it out to his list. Co-sourcer one also sends it out to his list. What they don't realize is that one or two of the investors on their list are the same person, right? They've got the same people because they're covering the same area. And what happens is co-sourcer two does a follow-up call session, or sets aside an hour and just calls all of the investors that he sent the deal out to, right? Whereas co-sourcer one just sent the deal out and he was kind of like, if people are interested, they'll respond. What happens is co-sourcer two ends up selling the deal to an investor that co-sourcer one had on their list as well. So it's one of the investors that they both had on the list, right? So when you think about it, what he's done is he's just given away 50% of his fee for no reason. It was his deal. He sent it to his list. But the problem was he didn't pick up the phone and call to make sure that the investor has seen it. Whereas co-sourcer two, who this isn't even his deal, he's just received the deal from co-sourcer one and sent it to his list. But he's done the part that's most important. He's picked up the phone and made sure they've seen it. He's discussed it. He's asked them any questions that he had, about what their thoughts are. See if there's any objections. See if they're interested. Are they free to come and have a look? Just he's just done a little bit more. He's just gone the extra mile, right? He hasn't just sent it and sat and waited and hoped, right? We don't do that. So what happened is he ends up selling a deal and getting £1,500 for a deal that really the first co-sourcer could have just sold directly and ended up with 3K themselves, but they just didn't pick up the phone, right? And I've got multiple stories like that or similar. So very important to do that, okay? So, okay. So we do the follow-up calls. We book in the interested parties to view as soon as possible, of course. Usually they can view that same week within a couple of days, right? We oversee the transaction until completion. So, of course, once an investor goes and views a property, a deal, if they're interested, pretty much that's when they make their decision, because now they get a true appreciation for what they can do with the unit, right? How big is it? How big is the rooms? Can I get away with putting another room in the living room? Can I do this? Can I do that? How much work's needed? How much do I need to put in to stage it and increase the rental value, etc., etc.? They only really get to do that when they're in the property. So you'll find that very quickly, after the viewing, you find out whether or not they're interested and they want to proceed. And if they do, as I said to you at the beginning, this is a rent-to-rent deal, so there's no purchase of the property happening. So it's a very straightforward process, very quick. All we need to do is provide the paperwork. We do the necessary checks, of course, make sure the owner is the owner, make sure the investor is the investor, just all the checks that you need to do. And that can all be done and dusted within a matter of days, right? And once that's done, you are paid your sourcing fee. Once landlord has been paid any upfront payments, if that's what's been agreed, deposits, first month's rents, if that's been agreed. Once the contract, the final agreement has been signed by both parties, the deal is complete, and now your fee is payable. They need to pay you that £3,000, right? And that is it. Very, very straightforward, And as I've said multiple times, this can be done, and we are doing it 100% remotely. Okay. So we're not visiting these properties. We're not having to be present at all because of the way I've shown these guys how to position themselves and how to communicate. Communication is key. So it allows us to do more deals, right? And speak to more people and be involved in more deals because we don't have to physically be there. Okay. I'll actually give you an example. We've got Charlie has just come back from Florida with his family last month. And you can see here, look, selling deals while on holiday. This is what running your own sourcing business looks like if you're committed and put in the work. No excuses. I've just been paid for a deal I sold whilst I was in Florida. You can see here, he was paid £3,000, right? And honestly, guys, in our group, we have a whole section in our group called wins, and there's like over 100 wins in there. And you'll see there's multiple people in our group that have same thing. Oh, I'm on holiday. I've just sold a deal. you know, a couple of days later, they're being paid. It's co-sourced or they're partnered with someone on it. So they're able to do this from wherever, literally from wherever. Reason being, they built the foundations first. So they're not having to try and do everything whilst they're on holiday. Find the deal, find an investor, do this. That, like, they're not having to do all of that, because that's probably what it sounds like when you see someone saying they sold a deal while they're on holiday. Fortunately, they've already got all of these things in place, right? So they've already got an investor list. So when there's a deal available, they just send it to their list, right? They've already got a network. So deals are being sent to them, opportunities are being sent to them, okay? And they can oversee everything from wherever they are in the world. As long as they've got a phone and Wi-Fi, you know, that's it. So very, very powerful strategy. Um, so that is literally it, guys. As I said, you know, you've seen the examples of people selling deals and making significant amounts of money. I think we have some more examples here actually at the bottom. Just bear with me. Zoom is being a little bit slow, but I just want to show you a few examples, right? And everything that I've just shown you is actionable, guys. You can, like I said, get started on that straight away, right? You can join those groups straight away. You can pick your areas straight away, right? You can see here, look, there's a few more examples. These are very recent. These are like last week or over the past few weeks. We've got Sharik, is another member of the group. You can see here, look, sale made £3,000, South Wales co-sourced freeways, and he paid them. So what he means by freeways is actually, rather than there just being one other person involved in the deal, there was actually two, right? And again, I tell people, this is why the way that we approach this business is completely different to everyone else, because we're able to actually get involved in deals where it's not our investor and it's not our deal, right? Because we've built clientele in terms of investors, but also we've built a network, right? And the network in itself even allows us to make money. So in this deal specifically, what Sharik has done is he's got a co-sourcer in his network that he's found using the steps I've just told you, who had a deal, and he also had a co-sourcer on the other side, same area, who had investors for the area. So the guy who has the deal was struggling to sell it. The guy who has the investors is looking for deals. Sharik being in the middle, having that network built already, he was able to just put the two together and walk away with £1,000. They split the fee 3 ways, £3,000, £1,000 each, off the back of nothing, just a few conversations, right? So very, very powerful. You can see that was him posting it in the win section in our group. Again, similar to Karan and Kent, they've co-sourced on a few deals in the group. But again, it just shows you, right? One of them had the deal, one of them had the investor, and one of them had the deals, because it was 4 deals. So one of them had 4 deals, and the other one had the investor. And you can see here, look, 4 deals taken by one client, right, and co-sourced with Quran, which is absolutely amazing. All right, so it just shows you, without even having to put too much effort in, if you set up your foundations right, everything will fall in line. Okay, now the way that these guys have been able to put these pieces of the puzzle together is by utilizing the program. Being completely honest with you, everybody who I've just shown you and tons more, which again, if you go to my page and have a look, you'll be able to see, have started from scratch. I don't think there's anyone that's come through the program who is already selling deals, right? Everybody is literally starting from ground zero, which I imagine most of you are. One of the things that they've all said made a huge difference and allowed them to get those results really quickly and continue to get those results is the support, you know, the community, the guidance, the implementation. You know, we do a lot of stuff in real time. So for those of you who need a hand, if you feel you can take the information I've given you here or on the masterclass, or you know, the information I give out in my content, please go ahead, do it, give it a go. Ask me questions if you're struggling. I can only give you so much help, right? My priority are the guys that are in the program in my group. You know, I work with them 24/7. But if you do need a hand and you'd like to be one of those guys that you've just seen examples of, we do have the program. So the #1 rent-to-rent deal sourcing community in the business. We have the best results by far. Again, like I said, you know, hundreds and hundreds of sales from the guys, complete newbies. As you can see here, you can join with a one-time payment of 3,000. So that is the equivalent to the one sale, which is why it's priced that way. So you sell one deal like you've seen these guys do. I mean, they're all selling multiple deals, but you sell one deal, you've covered your payment, right? We do not take a penny of anything that you make in terms of your deals. So you've paid your entrance fee and that is it. And we continue to work with you forever. I literally have people in the group that have been working with me for years and they're making hundreds of thousands. Charlie joined the program in 2022 and in his first 5 months made 40 grand, right? And he paid 3K to join. So that just kind of puts it into context for you. Crazy return on investment. If 3K is a little out of your budget, then we also have the payment plan. It's 749 per month, and you can cancel anytime, right? So you can join, see how you feel, join the daily phone calls. I mean, even for a month, you get a ton of value. Like I said, we do daily phone calls Monday to Friday. You have 24/7 support in real time. So if you've got questions, if you've got a deal you want to do analysis on, you have support there and then with you. It's not like most programs where you have to wait to speak to someone once a week or twice a month. This is every day, someone working with you, holding your hands, me as well as my team, right? So just to kind of walk you through exactly what you receive if you join today, you will receive the step-by-step guides. So we have a very, very in-depth classroom section in the program where we have multiple videos breaking everything down in great detail. If you think what I've broken down today was in detail, these are like screen shares showing you everything step by step so you cannot get this wrong. We also have written guides as well. So I know people like to learn in different ways. So if you're someone who likes to learn visually and actually watch it in real time, then you have the videos. But if you're someone who likes to read to take things in, you also have the written guides as well. As I said, 24/7 support, including Q&A and deal analysis, daily check-in and accountability calls. That's something that the guys say are really, really valuable for them, is that they have someone every day checking in, asking questions. You know, it's not just you get on a call and ask me questions. I want to make sure that you're actually making progress and you understand everything and you're moving forward. So we do that every day. We do weekly workshops. So that's what I was saying to you guys about us doing phone calls to landlords, agents, investors. We do that live every single week. Again, it's for the people who maybe a little bit shy, need to step out of their comfort zone. This is, you know, really based around that. Of course, we get the results on the calls as well, but it's more just to help people get comfortable with making phone calls, right? And getting on the phone. So we've really put a lot of time and emphasis into that. You have access to the Six Figure Deal Sourcer members only community. There's over 100 active deal sources in that group. It allows you to start building your own network of people that you can start doing deals with immediately, straight away. You know, you'll see the minute you join the group and you put your introduction message just to let us know you're here, you'll see you'll have tons of people reaching out to you. You know, you'll straight away be building relationships and friendships. And most of the people in the group who are selling deals have sold a bunch of deals with other people in the group, right? A lot of money has been made within the actual group as well as outside the group. So very valuable network. Access to the Six Figure Deal Sourcer members only in-house deals, so you can start selling really fast. So we actually have our own section where deals that we're securing are uploaded prior to them being sent out to the list. So what it does is, again, it opens it up to being sold very quickly. So for example, if I have a deal and I have a list of investors, I will send it out to my list of investors, but I'll also put it in the group in our deal section, because if 3 or 4 other people are also covering the same area, they can reach out to me and say, Gary, look, if you're not selling this, or if you're struggling to sell it, or even if you are getting interest with it, can I put it in front of my list as well? Because I think I've got investors that will take it. And what happens is I can either sell it directly to my list if someone's interested and ready to move quickly, or someone else in the group will sell it for me, right? And again, it just goes back to how valuable that community is. So very, very important. And also, every single document that you need to take a deal from A to Z. And this is really important. You know, all of the agreements, your NDAs, your heads of terms, your lease agreements, etc., etc., everything that you're going to need that usually you'd have to kind of go out there and buy one by one and kind of piece together. You have a full library of all of it there for you straight away. So if you're starting from scratch, You don't have to get anything outside of this group. Everything you need is right there, right? So this offer is available right now, but we are going to end it. The price will be increasing. Of course, reason being just the amount of value that's been generated. Just to remind you as well, you know, a lot of these results that I'm showing you are very recent. Okay, very, very recent. So you're seeing that pretty much all of these examples of sales, these are people that are now in 100% profit, right? So they've either joined the group for 3K, um, and they've sold one deal, they've made their money back, or they're very close to making their money back if they've co-sourced on their first deal. For the guys that are selling their first deal and making that 3K, they've made their money back. Everything after that is 100% profit, right? Absolutely crazy. You're not going to see many programs like this with these type of results. Yeah. So without kind of doing overkill, I just wanted to give you as much information as I can in terms of the actual strategy so you can go off and try it on your own. But for those of you who understand the value of being in a community of like-minded individuals that are doing the same thing as you and successfully, but also having mentorship, having someone that will hold your hand, you can reach out to at any time, every single day, and get the same results or better than the guys you're seeing, then please reach out, let me know, and we can either jump on a phone call to discuss in more details, or I can send you the information to join us, and I'll see you on our next group call. Other than that, thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope you find it valuable. Please, please, please take action. Whatever you do, whether that means working with me or trying it on your own, please take action. That's the main ingredient. Outside of that, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Take care.